Bai Cao has had one dream since her childhood, which is to become a worldwide taekwondo champion, but unfortunately she cannot fulfill this dream since both of her parents passed away in a car accident. She's been living with a man named Xiang Nan. Xiang Nan is the man who saved Bai Cao from the burning car in the same accident which took her parents' life. Since then, he adopted her and kept her with himself and his family. He is the owner of a taekwondo school. Bai Cao is also at the school all the time, but not like the other students. She is there because she works as a maid. She does tasks such as cleaning the hallways and the training areas, taking care of the students, training equipment, and washing their uniforms. However, Bai Cao does not do her tasks normally. She does them in her own unique style, which has helped her develop an unbelievable amount of strength. Xiang Nan also has another daughter, but she does not live with him because she blames her father, Xiang Nan, for the death of her mother. Bai Cao is the only one who lives with Xiang Nan, and she takes care of all of his needs. Bai Cao also has a best friend named Xiao Ying, who always has Bai Cao's back and helps her in every case. When it comes to the male heroes in this story, there are not one, not two, but three heroes. One of them is Ting Hao, who is competing in a match against Korea, which all the people of China are watching on TV. When he wins the match, all the people of China become happy. After winning the match against Korea, a Korean girl comes and accuses him of cheating to win the match. She says that just like 10 years ago, the master of Taekwondo Xiang Nan won this match using performance-enhancing drugs. Here she was unknowingly referring to Bai Cao's dad, Xiang Nan. Before giving the trophy, the girl demands they do a checkup of Ting Hao, who says that if they think he won the match today by cheating before taking first place, he will have to get his body checked. After this, all the people of China blame Xiang Nan, and Xiang Nan's daughter has to face all this at her school too. Her name is Guangya, but Bai Cao comes and saves her. In all this, she accidentally makes one of the boys fall badly on the ground. It's also shown that the Guangya has hated Bai Cao for years because she stole her father. So next, there is a local festival where all taekwondo schools come to show their talent. Here we are introduced to the second male lead, Ruo Bai, who is the teacher of Songbai School. His skills are shown in the festival, especially when he saves a child from getting hurt by a big banner falling on him. In the meantime, Bai Cao follows the hallmaster of her school backstage and finds out that the school's students are sticking the wooden pieces used in the festival's performance with glue so that they easily break in the end. The hallmaster tells Bai Cao to keep quiet, but by then someone has secretly made a video of their conversation. When the hallmaster performs at the festival, the person who recorded the video plays it in front of everyone. The hallmaster says the video is fake and asks Bai Cao to support this claim, but Bai Cao sides with the truth and says nothing, which leads to a lot of humiliation for their school. The entire school blames Bai Cao and asks her to leave the school. Then she sees Xiang Nan arrive, and Bai Cao hopes that he will stand by her truth, but even he tells her to leave the school. After which all the students expel her from the school. So now Bai Cao has no other place to go, so she remains outside of the school. She sits down and starts crying in the rain. It is also shown that Xiang Nan notices her outside and feels bad as he cares a lot for her, but he can't do anything to help her out here. He calls her best friend to come there, and then Bai Cao's best friend Xiao Ying arrives and, after persuading her a lot, takes her to her home. Xiao Ying's sweet mom and dad treat Bai Cao very well and give her permission to stay with them. Bai Cao's friend gets her a job as a maid at her taekwondo school named Songbai School, where she works very hard and happily. But some students there bully Bai Cao. Then, Ruo Bai, who is the teacher of the school, comes and punishes those students. Meanwhile, Xiang Nan looks at his family picture and remembers old memories, recalling how his wife died of humiliation and shock after hearing the news of cheating in the match. Next, Bai Cao is in the garden where the boy, whom she had accidentally knocked down in front of everyone at school, comes and challenges her to a fight to take revenge. He pushes her hard, angrily, after which she passes out. Just then, another boy comes and takes Bai Cao with him, bandaging her at his home. His name is Yuan, and he is the third male character in this drama. He lives in a wooden house in Songbai School as a doctor and is the son of the school's Grand Master, meaning he is the future heir of this Songbai School. Bai Cao thanks him and starts to leave when Yuan tells her that whenever she gets injured during practice, she can come there for treatment. Meanwhile at school, the boy who bullied Bai Cao is being expelled. Bai Cao arrives and takes all the blame on herself to save him, impressing all the students with her selflessness. They begin to respect her more. In the next scene, Bai Cao is sitting and worrying about her life and Xiang Nan's well-being when she meets Yuan again. He explains that if she is worried about something, she should always stay positive for the future. This interaction shows a slight attraction between Yuan and Bai Cao. Meanwhile, at the school, Ruobai is planning about the grand welcome for the upcoming visit of Korea's team for practice. However, the next day, only 5 students arrive, all children, and among them is the daughter of a world-famous taekwondo player, whom we saw at the start accusing Ting Hao of cheating. She challenges the older students to a fight, which angers some of them, and so they agree to fight with her. However, the rising star Korean student is very strong and easily overpowers the students, mocking them and speaking ill about China. Hearing this, Bai Cao gets very angry and steps forward to fight her. The Korean girl refuses to fight with Bai Cao, saying that she doesn't fight with the school's maid. But later, to teach Bai Cao a lesson, she agrees to the fight. As soon as they start fighting, Bai Cao easily blocks her attacks. When the girl is about to hit Bai Cao with her super move, Bai Cao effortlessly stops her, shocking everyone standing there, including Ruobai. Bai Cao then throws her opponent far away, easily winning the match. All the students and Ruobai are impressed, but in the eyes of that girl, Bai Cao has become an enemy. Xiaoying tells Bai Cao that Xiang Nan has come to the school. Bai Cao thinks he is there to take her away, but that's not the case. He instead kneels on the ground and requests the Grandmaster to take responsibility for teaching Bai Cao Taekwondo at this school. Bai Cao refuses and says that she only has one master, Xiang Nan, but he does not listen to her, and eventually Xiang Nan collapses as he is very sick. He wants Bai Cao to continue at Songbai School. Seeing Bai Cao crying a lot, Ruobai feels very bad for her. When Xiang Nan is admitted to the hospital, Bai Cao makes soup for him but falls asleep while making it. Ruobai comes and finishes the soup, packing it for her. Through this behavior, Ruobai realizes that Bai Cao's condition is similar to what he once went through. When Bai Cao takes the soup to the hospital, she finds a letter from Xiang Nan saying that she should continue learning typing at Songbai School because the teachers there are better than those at the training school. The letter also mentions that when she represents China at the international level, they will definitely come to watch and cheer for her. After all this, Bai Cao joins Songbai School with the sole goal of representing China in the international competition, hoping to meet her father, Xiang Nan, and clear the cheating accusations against him. Soon we are introduced to Ting Hao's sister, Ting Yi. Just like her brother, Ting Yi had won many awards and achievements of her own, and hence both siblings were quite popular in China. Ting Yi goes to meet Yuan as it is revealed she likes him a lot since childhood. It is then revealed from the photos frames in Yuan's house that Yuan, Ruobai, Ting Hao, and Ting Yi have friends since they were children, but in the present time, both Ruobai and Ting Hao did not like Yuan and gave him the cold shoulder. Whilst Ting Hao's reasoning was unknown, Ruobai disliked Yuan after a specific incident. Some time ago, Yuan had quit in the middle of a taekwondo tournament and deserted his team even though his part-taking was needed to win the match. This brought bad consequences for Yuan's family and Ruobai, who was also put in an unfavorable position because of this. Bai Cao, who is coming to visit Yuan, accidentally notices them from outside the wooden shed's window. She is startled to see Yuan standing so close to another woman and acting chummy. However, she shakes it off and rushes away as it is none of her concern. However, Yuan had seen her by then and rushes outside with Ting Yi following him. He calls out to stop Bai Cao and greets her, introducing her to Ting Yi. Seeing Yuan inquire with great care about Bai Cao's forehead wound, Ting Yi is forced to dislike Bai Cao from the get-go. To relieve her anger and displeasure, Ting Yi takes up Bai Cao for a practice match where she uses her emotions to guide her and beat up Bai Cao quite badly. Ruobai notices this taking place, as well as Bai Cao's roughed-up condition. It was clear that Ting Yi was quite troublesome. In the next scene, Bai Cao is helping an old-aged bookseller around when she sees a book that contains many secret skills of Taekwondo written in it. Seeing her interest, that old man gives it to her as a gift. While driving in his car, Ting Hao talks to his sister Ting Yi on the call, not focusing much on the road. Bai Cao is also crossing that road, but all her focus is on reading the book, so she does not see the car approaching. The car is at full speed, so suddenly it was impossible to stop the car by applying the brakes, so Ting Hao takes her into the car in quick motion and asks her to say thank you for saving her. When she does not immediately recognizes Ting Ho, he gets very surprised that she should not care about anyone. He asks her what taekwondo school she is from, but she tells him that she is not interested in this kind of stuff. To tease her, Ting Hao snatches her book from refusing to give it back until she tells him about her school. However, Bai Cao is smart and uses her whirlwind kick to disbalance him and take her book back. Seeing this, Ting Hao is even more impressed by her and asks for her number, but Bai Cao tells him that she has no interest in him and leaves. Ting Ho then goes to meet his mom in the hospital, who has been there for many years in a coma. Ting Yi also joins him there. Ting Hao vows his mom that he has won many tournaments and medals, but before taking over his family business, he wants to defeat a person. And that boy is not just anyone, but Yuan. We are shown a flashback where Ting Hao's mom and Yuan's mom are having a match, during which Ting Hao's mom gets badly injured on the head and she is taken to the hospital. So Ting Hao started hating Yuan from this moment on for his mother's actions. For this reason, Yuan left the world of Taekwondo far behind. Well, moving forward, we see that the institute competition is about to start, in which from Songbai School, the male section participants are Ruo Bai and Yi Feng, whereas from the female section, Xiao Qin, who is a black belt holder, is participating. Bai Cao, along with Xiao Ying and other cheerleaders, cheer for them to raise their spirits. Ting Hao is also present at this competition, and once he sees Bai Cao as the cheerleader, he finds out that she is from Songbai School. The first round is won by the participants of Songbai, and so they head out to celebrate. That's when Bai Cao runs into her old schoolmates and her sister Guangya. They react very weirdly to seeing her with the Songbai School and start bad-mouthing her. Even Guangya calls her a traitor. Ruo Bai jumps to Bai Cao's defense immediately, telling Guangya that Master Xiang Nan himself enrolled Bai Cao in Songbai School. After hearing this, Guangya starts hating Bai Cao even more, jealous of the attention her father gave his fake daughter instead of his real one. Later at night, Bai Cao tries to practice the new moves she had learned during a practice match at Songbai School. However, she is unable to use them properly and fails in her defense. Her lack of progress worries her so much that she is barely able to sleep at night because of it. The next morning, Ting Hao is waiting outside the school to pick up Ting Yi when he sees Bai Cao practicing with full focus. He comes out of the car to go see her, but she is too busy practicing to notice him, and so she lands a high kick. Ting Ho barely stops the strong kick with his hands, which makes him realize her body strength is actually very strong. To tease Bai Cao, he pretends that he was not able to stop her kick and that it hurt him, as he doubles over pretending to be in pain. At this, Bai Cao feels very guilty towards him and worried. She explains that she did not mean to do anything like that, but our Ting Hao uses this opportunity and blackmails her and says that if she really wants to say sorry, then she will treat him to a nice meal. Having no other option, Bai Cao agrees, and so Ting Hao takes her to a very expensive restaurant, where seeing the menu price, she gets shocked totally. After the meal, Bai Cao excuses herself to go use the restroom where standing outside the bathroom, she checks her purse and realizes she doesn't have enough money to pay the full bill. Ting Hao is observing her from afar and understands everything by looking at her face. He secretly foots the bill himself and grabs Bai Cao's arm, dashing for the exit. Bai Cao thinks that they have made a run for it without paying for their food and thinks all this is wrong and unethical, which is why Ting Hao has to explain to her how he has already paid the bill and just ran for fun. Bai Cao is not amused but angry to hear this and leaves. Ting Hao follows her on his car, slowing it down to apologize to her. But this had set off Bai Cao, and so she goes off on him about how she already has too many things to worry about like school, work, and taekwondo, where even after practicing a lot, she is not improving. Hearing this, Ting Hao decides to teach her some basic skills of taekwondo there and then. After all, he did not win the world championship for nothing. He tells her some tips that nobody else knows of. After understanding this, Bai Cao becomes very happy and finally tells Ting Hao her name and leaves from there. After returning to school, she performs very well in her match due to trying the techniques Ting Hao taught her. Due to practicing a lot, she gets many injuries on her legs, which when seen by Yuan, he becomes very worried for her. But Bai Cao is beaming ear to ear. Yuan applies medicine on her leg injuries strictly as a doctor, but Ting Yi walks in on that moment. She is angry to see Bai Cao so close to Yuan and once again starts feeling jealous from her. Once Yuan is out of range, Ting Yi warns Bai Cao not to use her wounds as excuses to get close to Yuan. Hearing this, with a heavy heart, Bai Cao leaves from there, deciding to stay away from Yuan and Ting, who are childhood lovers. The second round of the institute competition is about to start, but Songbai School's female participant Xiao Qin was unable to join as she got into a car accident just the day before, because of which everyone is very worried. Hearing of this, Ruo Bai tells Bai Cao to participate in the competition as a replacement for Xiao Qin. Bai Cao instantly refuses, saying that she won't be able to perform well, but Ruo Bai has a lot of confidence in her body strength and trust in her. The day before the competition, he teaches her a lot of practice and new skills to enhance her confidence and performance. The next day, the institute competition takes place, in which Ting Hao is also present along with a senior lady coach. As the match is about to start, all the students start making fun of the Song Bai school that they have placed a junior white belt player to fight against a senior black belt champion. Hearing this, Bai Cao's already low confidence falters even more. Unbeknownst to Bai Cao, there was also an international coach present at the competition. The lady who was accompanying Ting Hao was a senior coach who was there to recruit the most expert students for international competition training. The match starts, and Bai Cao is unable to perform well. She takes an attack on an attack without getting the chance to lay an attack herself, and this causes her to not gain any points. This feeds the opposition team, who now believe they have an easy shot at winning. In the match break, Bai Cao takes a moment to catch her breath. She feels horrible and guilty knowing that the crowd was bad-mouthing Song Bai's school because of her poor performance. Ruobai tries to lift up her spirits by encouraging her. He advises her that rather than focusing on the other players' moves, she should focus on their speed. After that, Bai Cao returns to the match with courage and fights very well. Just when the opposing player is about to attack, Bai Cao uses her speed and delivers a roundhouse kick. Seeing this, everyone is shocked and Bai Cao wins the match. Bai Cao's team is very happy, and at this point, Ruobai intervenes and says that this is not the end, but only the beginning, and they will have to work even harder going forward. Since the match is over, Ting Hao is leaving when he bumps into a man who he had defeated in a match last year, which resulted in him having to cut his hair. The man asks Ting Hao to fight again in a rematch with him, but Ting Hao doesn't want to fight him again, so he runs away and in an attempt to avoid the man, ends up in front of the girl's changing room where he meets Bai Cao. He quickly pulls her into the changing room and locks the door. This action startles Bai Cao, who lets out a scream, but it is muffled by Ting Hao's hand against her mouth. Meanwhile, the man who is chasing Ting Hao comes across the changing room. Unable to go in, he bangs on its door and yells at Ting Hao to come out. Hearing this, Bai Cao is shocked and questions Ting Hao, wondering if he is truly world champion Ting Hao, and if not, what is his link to him? Ting Hao lies to her. It tells her that he is not Ting Hao but his enemy, and Bai Cao naively believes him. He asks her for help against the man outside, and Bai Cao agrees. She opens the door and easily defeats the man outside, rendering him unable to attack her. Seeing his mission accomplished, Ting Hao grabs her hand and quickly runs away, dragging her with him. He thanks her and asks her to join him for lunch. That is when Bai Cao's other teammates rush to where they were. They ignore Bai Cao and line up to take pictures with Ting Hao. Observing this, Bai Cao realizes that Ting Hao had lied to her earlier about his identity and that he truly was the renowned world champion Ting Hao. At this, she gets mad at him and leaves. Later, Bai Cao realizes she wants to tell Yuan about her victory today, but she can't bring herself to do it. Xiao Ying observes this and decides she will have to take action herself to bring Bai Cao and Yuan closer. So the next day, Xiao Ying lies to Yuan that Bai Cao had gotten injured during practice and needs his care for her wounds. She gives them the address of her family's restaurant, where Bai Cao helps Xiao Ying's mom with cooking after school. At the same time, Ting Hao keeps calling Bai Cao, but she doesn't answer, so he goes to find Bai Cao himself. He too arrives at the restaurant, but sees Yuan go in there before him. After much thought, he follows them into the restaurant and becomes very jealous when he sees them together. Their hands touch while working, and Ting Hao finds himself unable to tolerate it and leaves. Since he has been rivals with Yuan from the beginning, and now Yuan is also coming between his happiness, he naturally gets angry. So Ting Hao goes and sits outside while drinking away his sorrows. A few girls also try to approach him, but he gives no response, and one of them asks him if he is single. He exclaims that he is single for now, but he won't be for much longer. By this, he was referring to the fact that he was going to make Bai Cao his girlfriend. The very next morning, Ting Hao makes his way over to Bai Cao's school, but he does not go alone. He takes along a few singers and performs a song for Bai Cao, and once the performance is over, he hands her some flowers. However, Bai Cao does not accept these flowers, thinking that it is some sort of prank being played against her. Before anyone could say anything after this, Ruobai suddenly appears and tells everyone to get back to what they were doing and asks Ting Hao to leave, saying that this is not allowed in the school, but actually it seemed as if he felt jealous. While Bai Cao is practicing, a letter made from cherry rose petals shows up for her, which says that Bai Cao is the most beautiful girl ever. This means that Ting Hao still hasn't left. Bai Cao gets angry and walks over to Ting Hao and tells him to stop all of this right this instant. Ting Hao grabs her hand and tells her that he is not joking and he is actually serious. Suddenly, Yuan walks over, and as soon as Bai Cao looks at Yuan, she lets go of Ting Hao's hand and walks away. Yuan walks over closer to Ting Hao and asks him if he is actually serious about Bai Cao, to which he gets the response that it is none of his concern. The next day, Ting Hao shows up to Bai Cao's taekwondo tournament to cheer her on as a spectator. As soon as Ruo Bai sees Ting Hao, he turns over to Bai Cao and tells her not to be distracted no matter what, and to focus on her match instead of him. So that is exactly what she does, and she clears every single one of her rounds spectacularly by knocking out her opponent in every single round. Her old school is also performing in this very same tournament, and all of the students are shocked to see Bai Cao performing so well. Guangya is representing her old school, and she is not able to focus on her match at all, so she is performing very poorly. Right as she is about to lose, Bai Cao runs over and starts cheering her on. After Guangya sees Bai Cao cheering for her, she feels extremely motivated and confident, and she is able to focus on her match, which resulted in her winning her match. After the tournament, Bai Cao and Guangya meet outside of the arena, and Guangya thanks Bai Cao for her help. This clears up everything between them, and this makes Bai Cao very happy because she is now back in good terms with her sister. Bai Cao leaves the arena to get back to her house, but Ting Hao stops her on her way. He tells her that he wants her to meet her old taekwondo teacher, Xiang Nan, so he asks her to come with him. She very innocently believes him and goes with him, but when they finally get inside, she finds out that he lied to her. In reality, Ting Hao proposes his feelings to her. She gets very angry and starts shouting and crying at the same time and tells him that Xiang Nan means a lot to her and that he shouldn't have used Xiang Nan's name like that. Ting Hao tells her that his feelings for her are very genuine and true, but she stops him right there and tells him that taekwondo is a very important part of her life and she cannot afford to let anything distract her from it. She starts crying and runs away from him, so this leaves Ting Hao feeling very bad. Two senior coaches are at a restaurant going through all the applications of the top performers, and the moment the lady comes across Bai Cao's file and finds out that she is Xiang Nan's daughter, she throws away her file and removes her name from the list because she seems to have a personal vendetta against Xiang Nan. The next day starts, and so do the semi-finals of the tournament. Ting Hao is sitting with the same senior coach from the restaurant when Ting Yi also joins them. Bai Cao is matched up with Li Fing, a very heavy and tall girl, as an opponent. Ting Yi makes a comment stating that Bai Cao will definitely be losing this match, but Ting Hao chimes in and tells her that he has full belief in Bai Cao. The first round of the match starts, and Bai Cao is not able to strike Li Fing because she is very fast, and by the time the first round ends, Li Fing has a score of 12, whereas Bai Cao is at a score of 0. This makes everyone assume that it is impossible for Bai Cao to win after this, so everyone starts thinking that Li Fing will be the winner. During the match break, Ruo Bai brings Bai Cao a warm towel to keep on her head. This keeps her relaxed, and he also teaches her some fast tricks, giving her confidence that if she plays smartly, she can use her whirlwind kick to defeat Li Fing easily. The senior coach lady observes this and says that Ruo Bai is good coach material. They return to the match, and this time Bai Cao uses her mind well to attack Li Fing and finally wins the match with her beautiful whirlwind kick. Everyone is very happy to see this, including Ruo Bai and Ting Hao, whereas Ting Yi is rendered speechless. The Songbai team members all go out to celebrate this win together at a restaurant where they play a cotton candy game. The rule is that whichever two players draw the Joker card, they will have to eat one cotton candy together. Surprisingly, Ruo Bai and Bai Cao draw the Joker card and are forced by everyone to eat the cotton candy together. After this, both of their faces turn red from being in such close proximity. Bai Cao blushes a lot and goes to wash her face, trying to get out of this situation. When she comes out, she is startled to see Ruo Bai's handsome face and soon falls asleep there out of boredom. Everyone else goes to watch a movie, but due to Bai Cao falling asleep, Ruo Bai decides to drop her home. He carries her back, giving her a piggyback ride, where in her sleep, Bai Cao talks to herself, making him smile. The next scene shows Ting Yi at Yuan's house, where she appreciates him for caring for her and remembering her birthday. Whereas other family members just force her to practice taekwondo. It's clear that she likes Yuan a lot, but Yuan has always considered her his little sister since childhood. While Yuan goes to the kitchen to make food for Ting Yi, she wanders around and sees a present in Yuan's room, which was a beautiful strawberry hairband. She thinks it's her birthday present from Yuan and gets very happy and keeps it back, but it turns out it is actually for Bai Cao for her final competition. Yuan gives it to Bai Cao the next day, wishing her good luck, making Bai Cao very happy. The next day, Xiang Nan goes to visit his wife's grave, where he bumps into the senior lady coach, and it's revealed that the senior lady coach is the sister of Xiang Nan's wife, who hates him and blames him for her sister's death. The next day, it's the final day of the institute competition, where Songbai's school faces off their opposing school, that is Ting Hao's school. In the finals, Ruobai is set to face against Ting Hao, whereas Bai Cao faces off against Ting Yi. Yifeng faces off another student from Ting Hao's school. The first round is Yifeng's, and he almost immediately loses very badly. After Yifeng's loss, it became very important for Bai Cao and Rubai to win their match. Otherwise, the Songbai School Institute would lose the competition. The next match is between Ting Yi and Bai Cao. Bai Cao is a bit nervous because during the last practice session, she was badly injured by Ting Yi, who took it too far because of her jealousy. To ease the tension, they greet each other before starting. That's when Ting Yi sees the strawberry hairband Bai Cao is wearing and asks who gave it to her. When Bai Cao tells her it was given to her by Yuan, Ting Yi becomes livid. She insists that it belongs to her instead of Bai Cao, and when the bell rings to start the match, she aggressively starts to attack Bai Cao. It's clear that Ting Yi is venting her anger on Bai Cao, who gets very scared and cannot defend herself properly, giving Ting Yi an advantage. As usual during the match break, Ruobai talks to Bai Cao and boosts her confidence, saying she can win this match. When the match continues, Bai Cao starts using her new whirlwind strategy and jumps over to knock Ting Yi down, who loses consciousness for a few seconds. When Ting Yi regains consciousness, she becomes even more furious and starts attacking Bai Cao with more intensity, severely injuring her. Bai Cao is almost unable to get up, but when she sees Xiang Nan has come to watch her match, she musters all her strength to try to get up. After Ting Yi's last super kick, she faints on the spot and loses the match. Ruobai rushes to lift Bai Cao, while on the other side, Ting Hao comes to help Bai, and from the third side, Yuan also approaches Bai Cao. Xiang Nan also runs towards Bai Cao. However, Ruobai is the first to reach her, and so he carries her. Bai Cao wakes up to find herself in Yuan's house, feeling very upset about losing the match as Xiang Nan sits next to her. She says she wants to make her dad proud, to which Xiang Nan reassures her that her dad is already proud of her hard work. She requests him to stay with her and he greets, which makes her happy despite her loss in the match. The next day at school, she learns that Ruobai and Yifeng lost their matches as well, leaving her very worried. Because of this, Ruobai has quit Songbai's school and is very upset about his loss, not talking to anyone. At night, when Bai Cao goes to clean the training hall, she meets Ruobai, who shares his childhood memories of how he, Ting Hao, and Yuan used to practice together. They both harbor a lot of hatred for each other now, though. Bai Cao comforts Ruobai about his defeat and convinces him to return to school. After losing at such a big level, Ruobai doesn't have the courage to face his students. Then, Bai Cao and the rest of the team visit his house and convince him to return to school, so he finally agrees. In the next scene, everyone is discussing the big training program organized by the senior coach lady. This program will include students selected from the institute competition, rekindling hope in the three of them that if students from Songbai School will be selected, it will ensure that their hard work doesn't go to waste. Ting Hao feels very close to the senior lady coach, considering her like a big sister. He takes advantage of this to settle personal scores. He tells Yuan that if he doesn't come for the fighting battle against him, no Songbai School student will be allowed in the big training program. All the students urge Yuan to accept the challenge. Just as Yuan is about to accept, Ruobai arrives and states that if students are being selected for the training program based on personal relations, then no student from Songbai School will participate. Despite this, Ting Hao still tells Yuan the time for the battle and leaves. After much contemplation, Yuan decides to fight for the future of Songbai School, intending to release Ting Hao's pent-up anger through this battle. He tells Bai Cao that he will not attack during the fight, only defend himself. Bai Cao realizes that Yuan isn't going to the battle to fight, but to end Ting Hao's torture and anger. She understands that Yuan will likely get beaten up badly, so she decides to challenge Ting Hao to a fighting battle instead of Yuan. Bai Cao takes Yuan's place in the duel with only one condition, which was that if she wins, Ting Hao will not challenge Yuan to another duel. Ting Hao agreed, however. Instead of the duel, he wanted to play a game. There is an elevated vase hanging from the ceiling. Ting Hao says that if she is able to break it with a kick, she will win. The only condition is that Bai Cao only gets one attempt. She agrees to Ting Hao's proposition, so Ting Hao goes to show Bai Cao how it's done, and surely enough, he breaks it with just one kick. He picks up a shard from the broken vase and hands it to Bai Cao to show her the thickness of the vase. Right as Bai Cao is running up for her attempt, Yuan and Ruobai enter the hall at that moment. She jumps and kicks the vase 3 times in one jump, but unfortunately the vase was intact in its position. Yuan then walks up to Ting Hao to tell him to start the battle for the duel. But right at that moment, the vase suddenly fell apart because Bai Cao's kicks actually damaged it, so this made her very happy. Yuan is now aware that he needs to travel abroad for Ting Hao's mother's treatment, so he tells Bai Cao and asks her if she will be waiting for him, and she reassures him and confirms that she in fact will be waiting. He gets very happy. Bai Cao uses her old savings to buy a pen for Yuan, which she packs in a nice box and leaves it on his doorstep. Ting Yi sees her leaving it on his doorstep, and instead of giving it to him, she takes it for herself and keeps it. Ting Yi keeps thinking about the pen Bai Cao tries to gift Yuan, so she gets very angry and takes the decision to go abroad with Yuan. The next day, Bai Cao looks for him all over the airport, but she cannot seem to find him. Suddenly, Ting Yi walks over to Bai Cao and tells her that Yuan does not want to meet with her, and she returns the pen back to Bai Cao and explains it by saying that Yuan does not want to take anything from her with himself. This leaves Bai Cao feeling extremely hurt, so she walks back over to Xiao Ying and starts crying. Later on, the three of them get accepted into the Taekwondo training program and also Xiao Ying. This program will last for 3 years, and the way it works is, after each training match, the winner will carry on to keep their place, but the loser of the training match will be disqualified. 2 years of the program have passed, and Bai Cao has worked her way up to a black belt from a white belt. She also wins the trophy for the best female fighter, and this trophy is presented to her by no one other than Ting Hao. Bai Cao's sister, Guangya, has also joined this program because Guangya's mother's sister is a senior head coach in the program. Ruo Bai helps out Bai Cao a lot, whether it's her job or her school or work. It doesn't matter, because he helps her out all the time. Seeing this makes Ting Hao very jealous. He then annoys her, which results in her kicking him, so he pretends to be hurt and use this acting of his to get Bai Cao to agree to go to his grandfather's party with him. He gets her all ready for the party, and once she is ready, she looks very beautiful, and he even gives a spectacular necklace, and not only does he just give her the necklace, he puts it on her himself. While Ting Hao and Bai Cao at the party, Ruo Bai is back at the school wondering why Bai Cao is not back yet while staring at the time. When they finally get back, Ting Hao tries to convince Bai Cao to leave Ruo Bai's taekwondo school and to join his own taekwondo school instead. Ruo Bai is eavesdropping and overhears all of this. Bai Cao instantly rejects his offer without any hesitation and leaves. This makes Ting Hao very angry, so the next day he challenges Ruo Bai to a fight expecting to win. Since Ruo Bai has practiced very hard in these past 2 years, he ends up winning the fight, and this leaves Ting Hao in disbelief, since this was the first fight he has ever lost. A senior head coach tells Ting Hao that the reason he lost this fight against Ruo Bai was because of the fact that he had not practiced properly for over 2 years, so not only did Ting Hao just listen to this, he also agreed. And from that night, he started to begin his taekwondo practice just for the sole purpose of beating Ruo Bai. Ruo Bai's friend teases him by saying that he loves Bai Cao, so at first he denies it, but eventually that leaves him wondering whether or not that is actually true. Ting Hao, the next day, approaches Bai Cao and informs her that he will begin practicing seriously again for taekwondo, and he asks Ruo Bai to take care of Bai Cao while he is busy in his practice. Ruo Bai tells Bai Cao to get a haircut since her long and silky hair disturbs her during her practices and affects her matches a lot. So instead of going to a big salon, she goes to a roadside barber, who is an old man, just to save her money. But she ends up getting her hair ruined, and it looks so bad that both Ruo Bai and Xiao Ying yell at her, asking her what she was even thinking. The next day at the academy, Ting Yi is back in China, and the senior coach lady nominates her for the international championships to represent China. So Ruo Bai says that other students should also be given a chance to represent China internationally, using Bai Cao's name as an example. The senior head coach said that there will be a battle in a week between Bai Cao and Ting Yi, and says that whoever wins this battle will be sent abroad to represent China. Ruo Bai takes Bai Cao out for a dinner because of the thoughts he started having after his short conversation with his friend regarding his feelings for Bai Cao. The restaurant staff mistakes them for a couple and takes a photo of them together and the way Bai Cao acts throughout the entire meal, it is obvious that she certainly has some kind of feelings for Ruo Bai. Now that Yuan is back in China, the very first thing he does is ask around for Bai Cao. When he finds out that she is outside with Ruo Bai, he tries to stop himself for going over to them, but he eventually gives in. Ting Yi finds out what he is up to, so she goes with Yuan. When Ting Yi and Yuan finally arrive at the same place, Bai Cao is shocked to see Ting Yi there, and she tries to cover her hair, but Ting Yi had already seen them and she started making fun of them. Ting Yi called Ruo Bai and Bai Cao a couple, and the both of them objected to that at that very minute. The next day, the senior head coach makes an announcement to tell everyone that Yuan is not a part of the team's medical team officially. It is Bai Cao's birthday, so Ruo Bai puts a hair clip in her locker as a surprise gift. However, this is not any regular hair clip. This is the hair clip she was considering buying when she was in Korea and with Ruo Bai when they were disturbed by Yuan and Ting Yi. But Ruo Bai is not the only one leaving her a gift in the locker, since Yuan puts a new uniform and a letter as a surprise gift as well. All of her classmates give her a surprise when she walks into the locker room, and her sister Guangya even gives her a present. When she opens her locker, she first finds the note and uniform from Yuan, and she gets very happy. When she picks up the uniform and the letter, she finds the pin from Ruo Bai, but since there is no note of any sign of him, she thinks that Yuan gave her that pin. Bai Cao wears the new uniform she got from Yuan, and she makes her way over to him, but she could not muster the courage to knock on the door, so she stands there second-guessing if she should even go in or not. Before she is able to make this decision, he opens up the door himself and invites Bai Cao inside. When she comes inside, he asks for permission to fix up her hair. And when she grants him this permission, he gets to work and fixes her hair with another haircut, and now she looks beautiful again. Yuan asks Bai Cao why she had no contact with him in these last 2 years, so Bai Cao tells Yuan everything that Ting Yi said to her at the airport on the day he left China to go abroad 2 years ago. She then gives him the pen she also tried to give him 2 years ago. Yuan was furious after finding out about all of this, so the next day he confronts Ting Yi. He explains how he has always treated Ting Yi like a younger sister because he promised her mother, but he told her that she should know her place. The both of them then got into an argument about Bai Cao when she suddenly gets fed up, so she asks Yuan to leave, and now she is more against and angry at Bai Cao than ever before. While everyone is training, Bai Cao is not training properly because she is wearing the new uniform she got from Yuan, and she didn't want it to get dirty. So when Ruo Bai finds out that she got this uniform from Yuan, he tells Bai Cao to go and change into her old uniform. This causes Yuan and Ruo Bai to exchange glares at each other. When Bai Cao comes back after changing, Ruo Bai realizes that this uniform is too short on her since she outgrew it, so after training, he takes the uniform back home with him and stays up at night to tailor her suit for her, and once it's ready, he leaves it outside of her house. When she sees it in the morning, she is very happy. It was the day of Ting Yi and Bai Cao's fight to decide who gets to play on an international level while representing China. Ting Yi invited the media and press as a devious tactic to distract Bai Cao. In the first round, Bai Cao is too distracted by the flashes of the camera to be able to focus on the fight, so she loses a few hits, which gave Ting Yi some points. After she regains her focus, she is able to play better, and when it is the perfect timing, Ruo Bai tells her to do her secret move, which was her triple kick. So she does it, which results in her almost knocking out Ting Yi. The match results in a tie between the both of them, so the senior head coach announces another match in a month to decide the champion, and she mentions how sure she was of Ting Yi winning. Ting Yi's grandfather is angry at her and yelling because she spent 2 years abroad just for Yuan, which stopped her from training, and said that this was the reason for her not being able to win today. She apologizes and promises her grandfather that she will win the next match. The exam season starts and everyone studies very hard for their exams, but Ruo Bai does not come for his taekwondo training sessions, so this makes Bai Cao worry a lot. Yuan calls Ruo Bai and hands over the phone to Bai Cao. Ruo Bai tells her that everything is okay and asks her to just focus on her exams. Once the exams are over, Bai Cao goes to visit Ruo Bai and gets very angry when she finds out that he lied about everything being okay, when in reality his father was extremely sick. She starts crying over the fact that he hides everything from her and does not let her help, so he comforts her and reassures her that he won't hide anything from her ever again. Ruo Bai removes his name from the Korean fighter tournaments list because the doctors told Ruo Bai that his health is deteriorating very fast, so he cannot take part in any taekwondo, as it can result in a lethal injury for him. Only he, his friend, and Yuan know of this. But when Bai Cao finds out that he isn't taking part in the tournament, she thinks that Ting Hao is the reason of it, and he must have disqualified Ruo Bai, so she confronts him, but he says that he did not do it, which was the truth. When it's time for the flight and all the contestants are at the airport, Ting Hao gives Bai Cao a new mobile phone and makes her take it and use it in case anything happens in Korea, so she can make a call to him and tell him, and also for her to able to stay in touch. As soon as they reach Korea, Bai Cao has an encounter with Kim Min-chu, the same girl from the beginning who accuses Ting Hao of taking performance-enhancing drugs and medication. She gets very angry when she sees Bai Cao, and just to infuriate Bai Cao, she starts to say bad things about Xiang Nan. This almost causes a fight, but Kim Min-chu's coach and Ruo Bai defuse the situation. Kim Min-chu also has a sister, whose name is Li Chu, who also happens to be a very good and close friend of Yuan. Bai Cao meets her while she's trying to stop a thief from running away. When Bai Cao is finally leaving, she realizes that she got lost when she was chasing the thief, so she calls Ting Hao, who is very happy to receive her call. And he not only guides her, but he also sends her a car to drop her and her friends off at the right school. The next day at the training center, Kim Min-chu and Bai Cao again get into a problem with each other because Kim Min-chu insults Xiang Nan. So they challenge each other to a duel with two case scenarios. One, if Kim Min-chu wins, Bai Cao will never practice taekwondo again, but Ruo Bai was against this because it would end Bai Cao's career in taekwondo. The other case is that if Bai Cao wins, Kim Min-chu will never insult Xiang Nan again. There are two matches where one is a girls' match with the second one being a boys' match. For the girls' match, it is Bai Cao against Kim Min-chu, and Ruo Bai fights in the boy match. Bai Cao easily defeats Kim Min-chu and wins. Now it was all up to Ruo Bai. His condition worsens during the match, so it gets tough for him to stand his ground, but he ends up winning the match nonetheless. However, right after the match, he blacks out and becomes unconscious. When he finally wakes up again, he doesn't talk to Bai Cao because he is actually against her for making that decision. Ting Hao meets up with Xiang Nan and asks him to tell the truth about the match 12 years ago. So Xiang Nan tells Ting Hao the truth, that he was framed for this allegation, and since he was mentally distracted by the shock of his wife's death, he wasn't able to defend himself. So Ting Hao and Xiang Nan fly out to Korea and tell Kim Min-koo and her father the truth about everything, but they don't believe him and tell him to bring proof for it. So from that very moment, every student at Bai Cao's school started looking for proof to prove Xiang Nan's innocence. After everyone falls asleep, Ruo Bai starts to look for the proof, and unlike everyone else, he actually finds it. It is a video of a man sneaking into Xiang Nan's set room and mixing the drug in the water. So himself and Xiang Nan present this to Kim Min-koo and her father, but they do not believe him. And instead, the father and the daughter both ask them to bring that man to give a testimony. Ruo Bai gets to work to find that man, but his condition gets very bad. He still stays strong and extremely determined to find that man. He finally finds him, but the man tries to run away but ends up slipping from the railing, and Ruo Bai injures his arm just to save him. Once he is safe, Ruo Bai asks him to testify, and he refuses initially, but Ruo Bai tells him how the girl he really loves has her career is in jeopardy and can be ended if he does not testify. The man gets sad after hearing this and agrees to testify. Ting Hao ends up listening to all of this and is in shock because now he is aware of the fact that Ruo Bai really does love Bai Cao. Ruo Bai takes him to everyone and tells the man to confess everything. The man confesses that he did in fact do what was being claimed because Xiang Nan was innocent and he would have won, so he did this instead to make him disqualify. Kim Min-koo and her father are shocked and ashamed after finding out the truth. Kim Min-koo's dad, who was also Xiang Nan's opponent 12 years ago, apologizes to Xiang Nan and holds a ceremony to give him his trophy back. Xiang Nan thanks Bai Cao for always believing him and for believing his innocence. Guangya also comes over and apologizes to her father, Xiang Nan, for the fact that she was upset for the last 12 years. Now they were fixed as a family and were all very happy together. This made Bai Cao very happy. Yuan proposes his feelings and confesses them to Bai Cao, and she accepts his proposal. While they are holding hands, Ting Hao and Ruo Bai come there, but Ruo Bai says nothing and he just walks away, whereas Ting Hao grabs Bai Cao and takes her to the side where he tells her that someone loves her too, but that guy won't do anything. Became his happiness is Bai Cao's happiness, even if it's with Yuan. He doesn't take Ruo Bai's name. Ting Hao gets a flashback from the past in which Ruo Bai is telling him about his feelings for Bai Cao, but he is refusing to do anything because he believes that she loves Yuan. Ruo Bai finds out the truth about Yuan, that he gave up his love for taekwondo because of his family, and after Ruo Bai finds out, he regrets it a lot because he always thought wrong of Yuan during this time, so they fix everything between them. Yuan and Bai Cao are at a date, but even at the date, she thinks about Ruo Bai and even gets him a gift. But when Yuan gives her a gift, she refuses to accept it. As soon as the team lands back in China, Ting Hao rushes Ruo Bai to the hospital because his heart condition worsens. It turns out that he needs an immediate surgery, otherwise he might not survive. Ruo Bai gets a call in which he finds out that the senior head coach is not fulfilling her word, and she actually selected Ting Yi to play internationally before the match between her and Bai Cao took place. The coach explains how she has no other option because she's being pushed to do so by Ting Yi's family. Ting Hao brings Bai Cao to listen to all of this secretly so he can tell her how much Ruo Bai loves her. Bai Cao argues with Ruo Bai over this because this actually puts his own career at risk, but the both of them start arguing about it. Ting Hao jumps in and tells Bai Cao that Ruo Bai actually loves her and even shows her the injury on Ruo Bai's arm. Bai Cao gets quiet and asks why Ruobai didn't tell her about this before, to which Ruobai replies by asking her to leave. The next day there is a party at Ting Hao's house, and all Bai Cao is doing is thinking about Ruobai and drinking alcohol. She gets so drunk that when Yuan comes, she mistakes him for Ruobai and confesses everything. Seeing Yuan and Bai Cao together really upsets Ting Yi, so she throws her drink at Bai Cao. Ting Hao intervenes and stops Ting Yi, and he also tells Yuan to back off since Ruobai will win, but Yuan does not give up. Bai Cao is at the training center crying when Ruobai walks in. She tells Ruobai her true feelings and apologizes to him, but he does not accept it and he turns around and starts walking away to leave. Bai Cao runs up to him from his back and hugs him, which softens Ruobai's heart towards her, and he forgives her. Yuan, who is watching all of this, feels completely devastated after discovering that Ruobai is the one Bai Cao wants. The next day, it is Ting Yi's match against Bai Cao to determine who will go represent China internationally. But right as the match starts, Ruobai starts feeling sick and he tries to control it so that Bai Cao doesn't get distracted. But the moment he leaves the room, he faints down to the ground. Ting Hao and Yuan see this, and they instantly call an ambulance for him. As soon as he is being loaded onto the ambulance, he wakes up and tells Ting Hao and Yuan not to tell anything to Bai Cao since it will distract her from her fight. When Ruobai reaches the hospital, all he thinks about are his memories with Bai Cao, which make him tear up. On the other hand, back at the Taekwondo Center, Bai Cao has no clue about the fact that any of this is happening, so she is just focused on the fight. As soon as the whistle blows and the fight starts, both Ting Yi and Bai Cao come at each other at the same time with a jumping kick, but before being able to see whose kick lands and whose misses, the show ends on a major cliffhanger.